Hello everyone, so it's time for another creepy video, and for tonight's creepy video I am going to be mentioning a haunted place here in West Virginia. I really want to start getting more into like haunted places in my state just because I think that it's really interesting to study like the history behind all of them, and I would really like to make a bucket list and go to all of these places one day, because before I go to any other haunted place in the US, I would really like to visit all of the places in my state first. So I thought that it would be a great idea to start a little series called Haunted WV, and in this series I'm just going to be talking about different haunted places in West Virginia, and tonight is going to be one of the first videos that I am doing for this series. And this haunted place is called North Bend Rail Trail Tunnel number 19, also known as the Sliver Run Tunnel 19. So yeah, I hope you guys enjoy the story. So the Sliver Run Tunnel number 19 is located in Cario, West Virginia. I believe I'm saying that right. I'm sorry if I'm mispronouncing it. I will leave the name on the screen in case I am. But once again, I apologize if I'm saying it wrong. The tunnel is 1,376 feet long. It is now a part of the North Bend Rail Trails, and it's no longer a railroad track, but it was at one point a railroad track. So in 1910, a young engineer was making a run through the B&O track company, and he was going through, I believe it was from Grafton to Clarksburg into Parkersburg, West Virginia. It was a long run, and it ended up getting dark before the rest of the ride. The track is located between two tiny towns, and it is also surrounded on both sides by rocks and forest and very steep hills. So everything was going fine on this guy's ride to wherever it was that he was going, a few miles in, until a few miles later, and then something horrifying actually happened. When the engineer came upon the short stretch right before the entrance of the tunnel number 19, he seen something in the moonlight and his headlights of the train. And it was a woman wearing a long white dress with black hair, and she had a blank expression on her face and what he described as bloodless skin. She was just standing there on the railroad tracks. So this man, panicking that he was going to hit her, he desperately tried to turn on the brakes in time to stop the train, but he was unfortunately not able to stop in time. So the entire time he's like driving up to this woman, she's not budging 1 inch. Like, the train is not even phasing her. She's just standing there real still with this blank expression on her face, just staring at him, kind of lifeless like, until he got like right up on her with the train. And at that moment she actually began to scream, and then she just shot up into the air like a bat, like flew up into the air. So he had actually jumped off the train to see if she was out there, or I believe that's what I read, or something like that, and she was nowhere to be found. So then he later had another encounter with what I like to call the lady in white. And this time he actually got to see more details of what she was wearing, and he described her as wearing a long white wedding dress with long black hair. She had a jeweled brooch on her, and she was wearing golden slippers. Once again, whenever he started pulling out that warning whistle trying to warn her that the train was coming, she was just standing there all still with a blank expression on her face until he got right up on her. And when he got right up on her, she let out that loud scream, and then she just shot up into the air again. So rumors had started to spread of this engineer's story and his encounters with the lady in white. And then other engineers had started telling people that they had also been encountering the same thing. So these trains would slow down right near the Sliver Run Tunnel number 19, just to avoid hitting this woman. And many of these engineers that were running these trains nearly almost wrecked a few times trying to avoid from hitting this woman. An Irishman by the name of Old Flannery laughed at all of these ghost stories. He was like mocking, like saying like, no ghost is gonna stop me. He didn't particularly believe in all of these ghost stories. So on his first run, he put his train into full throttle and said that he was not going to stop the train no matter what happened. At dusk, he reached this tunnel. It was foggy and there was a full moon. He spotted this woman in white, but he kept on going. He did not stop that train once. The ghost screamed and then she jumped straight up into the air. When he reached the station at Parkersburg, he actually noticed that there was a crowd waiting for him there. So when he asked all of these people what was going on, they actually had said that as he was going through different stations, they had actually telegraphed and told them that there was a girl like holding on to the train, her arms were stretched out, and she was screaming. So the fog had lifted by the time that he arrived there in Parkersburg, and so he inspected the engine of the train and he found nothing. There was nothing to be found. He requested to transfer right after all of this had happened. So here is a little information behind the lady in white. I could not find a specific name for her. I wish that I had, because if I ever decide to visit there, I would like to have a name for her. But I researched and I could not find her name anywhere. So if you know anything about this story or the history on the Sliver Run Tunnel, and you know the lady's name, feel free to leave me a comment and let me know, because I would really like to know her name in case I ever visit. So it is believed that this young woman was traveling from Grafton to Parkersburg to get married when something happened along the way. That's what they were always told. But there are several different stories to this legend, so none of us really know which one is really true. But in my opinion, old legends like this, like, they have to come from somewhere. So even if there's like different stories, you know, I believe that they have to come from something. Like, they can't just be made up unless you have like a really good imagination. So to me, that doesn't make it any less real. I still believe in the story, but I just don't know which one's true. One version of the story was that she was followed by a jealous ex-lover who actually threw her off the train. Another said that this girl had jumped off the train committing suicide, but I also read somewhere that she was writing in a journal all the way up until that point. So I don't know, to me that one just doesn't seem like that would be the case. Years later, the legend was that workers that were dismantling a part of the tunnel had actually came across a skeleton in part of the tunnel. It was wearing the remnants of a white wedding dress. I also read somewhere that there was an old house near the tunnel, and when workers were tearing the house down, in the chimney they found her. So I don't know which part of that is true or not. I'm not exactly sure, but whatever the case, they did give her a proper burial in a cemetery located near the tunnel. So there have been a few sightings in present day since all of this has gone on, because remember that this was a while back. This was a long time ago when all of this stuff had gone on, and when all of these engineers had seen her, it was when it was actually a working railroad track. So it was a long time ago, but there have been a few sightings since then, but very few. So one of these sightings involved a man and a woman who were walking through the trail when they came upon the tunnel, and they seen the woman in white standing right in front of them. So they took off running, and then they later heard the legend and the stories behind her. So yeah, that was all I could find on the Sliver Run Tunnel number 19. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, please give me a big old thumbs up. Subscribe to my channel if you have not already, and become a morbid maniac. Also, leave me a comment and let me know what you think of this tunnel. Would you ever visit there? Would you ghost hunt there? Would you try to go there at night and see if you could see her? I totally would. I definitely want to go and visit there one day. I think that that would be awesome, and if I ever do, of course I'm going to make a video on it. I have a plan to like visit at least one haunted place in my state this summer, so hopefully everything works out with that. But I just think that it would be amazing to visit there one day, and I'm totally going to. So yeah, let me know what you think of like the whole haunted West Virginia thing, because West Virginia is my state. It's where I grew up. It was where I was born and raised. So I just really think that it's interesting to learn more about haunted places here before I go, you know, anywhere else. But I would like to visit like places all throughout the country and all throughout the world that are haunted. But yeah, I just want to start right here first before I go anywhere. So yeah, let me know what you think, and I will see you guys in my next video. Bye!